Medical Intuitive Insights with your host, Dr. Gloria Warren, is a program that presents topics on medical intuition, holistic opportunities outside of mainstream society, and scientific research as applied today. Topics range from online intuitive readings to interviews unveiling alternative healing modalities and discussing them with inspirational leaders. Dr. Warren is the bridge within holistic arts while stressing the balance between the spiritual and physical self. So now, please welcome the host of Medical Intuitive Insights, Dr. Gloria Warren.
Why are you weaker? Are you built to defend or are you failing? Is your immunity declining? So why are we getting weaker? Not just tired or stressed, but biologically weaker. We live in a time of advanced medicine, yet more people are getting sick, staying sick, and struggling to recover. So the questions become, what happened to our immunity? What happened? Because the truth is, the immune system was never designed to fail. It was designed to protect, to defend you, to restore you. But only if it is supported correctly. Welcome to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm Dr. Gloria Warren. We do have Nurse Peggy Smith here with us from the Holistic Nurse with Peggy Smith. So today we're talking about something very foundational, the immunity reset. Yes, you can reset your immunity, feeding, restoring, and protect your body. So we're going to start with feeding the immune system. We're talking food, things that you're told not to eat. But let's see here. Let's begin with the concept that is often overlooked, shall we? Immunity is not automatic. It is built. And it is built from what you feed your body. Every immune response, every defense mechanism requires nutrients, energy, and structural integrity. And that's through research of Calder 2020. So if the body is undernourished at the cellular level, it cannot defend the systemic level. Animal fats, structural intelligence. We've been told for years to avoid animal fats. But what if that advice disrupted one of the most critical systems in the body, your brain? It is mostly fat. Your cell membranes depend on animal fat. Cell membranes rely on lipids for flexibility signaling, which directly influences immune communication. And that's through research. Mazafarian and his colleagues in 2018. Fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K require dietary fat for absorption, all which are essential for immune regulations. There again, Calder 2020. By the way, references will be placed at the end of this video. And your immune system, it relies on those same structures to communicate. Healthy animal fats support cell membrane flexibility, enable nutrient absorption, transports fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. And without these, cells become rigid, communication slows, immunity weakens. So where should we get these anyways? Red meat. It has all the immune activation nutrients. So I know this is a controversial topic, but red meat, not processed, not manufactured, not artificial, but real nutrient-dense red meat. It contains heme iron, critical for oxygen transport and immune cell function. And that we know from Oppenheimer 2001. Zinc, essential for T cell development. Yes, T cell development and immune response coordination. Prasad 2008. But without that zinc, T cells don't actually completely develop. Vitamin B12, another one. Allen 2009 said it supports cellular energy, repair, and neurological immune interactions. You know, B12 is one of those big energy drink things. However, can you really get it in B12? Is it absorbable? Or is it just passing through your body? That's a big question. We have some slides here for you. today. So we're going to look at a few slides. Got quite a few, but this is going to explain it a little more where you'll get more of what we're trying to get across here. So heme iron found in red meat. It's also in chicken, I believe. But simple teaching, heme iron is readily absorbed and immediately usable by the body. Well, non-heme iron requires conversion and is more easily affected by dietary factors. Makes it less efficient, especially in times of increased immune demand. Next slide, please. So what are we talking about here? The structure of hemoglobin. Two types of heme iron. There's hemoglobin, and I think the other one's myoglobin. We have a slide on that, by the way. But what is a protein found? What protein is actually found in red blood cells? Contains heme groups that bind iron, and that's the important thing. Iron and oxygen, too. So central purpose is to transport oxygen from the lungs of which you breathe throughout your body, through the bloodstream and into the tissue. Why does this matter? Well, simply put, transporting oxygen from the lungs into the tissue, it supplies the cellular energy production, the ATP. It supports immune cells, which require oxygen to function effectively. That's critical for overall metabolic activity. Next slide, please. So the other is the myoglobulin. By the way, if you get a blood test, CBC, different, it's hemoglobin, right? Is there myoglobin on there? No, it doesn't. It's not on there. It's not essential for anything in your body except muscle development. We'll get into that. So it's a protein found in muscle tissue. The myoglobulin also contains heme iron. All right. But is it the same? No. The central purpose of the myoglobulin is to store, release oxygen within just the muscle tissue cells. It provides local oxygen reserve for muscle tissue, but it gets its oxygen from the bloodstream from the hemoglobin. See, this is what the link here that everyone needs to know. Manufactured meat, they put myoglobin in the meat. So they can say they have hemoglobin. But the myoglobin in the muscles can't get the oxygen to the muscle. That's the hemoglobin's job. Little problem with that. I think, Peggy, you had mentioned something about that even when I was discussing it with you. You said, yeah, it's basic physiology from nursing school. So just a thought. Next slide, please. So dairy components, immune modulation, lactoferrin, immunoglobulins, gut microbiome support fermented forms. Foundational additions, eggs, organ meats, bone broth, garlic. Yeah, garlic, antimicrobial compounds. The power line, basically, if the body is underfed at a cellular level, it cannot defend at the systemic level. Can't. What do you do about that? Next slide, please. Key message here is that immune system is not just defenses, it is nutrient dependent. Animal fats are for structural integrity, cell membranes, brain signaling. You know, the brain shrinks when it doesn't get enough of the hemoglobin iron. Fat-soluble vitamins transport A, D, and K. Red meat, immune activation, nutrients, heme iron yields to oxygen, yields to immune cell efficiency. Zinc is also then with meat, right directed to the T cell production. Remember, T cells keep you healthy, right? It's for cellular regeneration. B12 gives cellular energy, very important. Dairy components, also very important for immunoglobulins, gut microbiome support. Foundational additions, well, let's just go to the point. If the body is underfed at a cellular level, it cannot defend at a systemic level. Next slide, please. So here we have high zinc foods. Notice high zinc foods. What is it? This is what we're showing you. These are the high zinc foods in your supermarket today. Meats, a lot of red meat, and cheese, dairy. All right, next slide, please. B12. Once again, what do you see there? Okay, you have B12 in mushrooms. That's great. You don't have the heme iron, though, in the mushrooms, but you have basic elemental iron. But you have meats and things of that nature, which is necessary. Next slide, please. Meat, fish, heme iron versus non-heme iron. Look at what's happening here. 25% of the iron is absorbed if it's hemoglobin iron. Myoglobin iron, it says, which is non-heme, or non-heme iron, I should say. And so it's heme, which is both of those, and then versus non-heme. 90% of iron in that food, only 10% of that iron is absorbed. And it doesn't work as efficiently. So next slide, please. You're tired, but you're not anemic. The hidden symptoms of iron deficiency. This gives you a little idea of what's going on. Okay. Save this video, share it, like it, follow, please. It'll give you something to refer to later on in discussions of heme iron. Next slide, please. Bone broth benefits, always anti-inflammatory, high in collagen and amino acids, very important for cellular growth and development, and easily digested. It's a natural meat-based collagen, so fantastic. Okay, so let's go to this next slide, please. So lactoferrin, a red iron binding protein synthesized by neutrophils and glandular epithelial cells, found in many human secretions as tears, milk, mucus, bile, and some white blood cells. They're found to retard bacterial infection, inflammation. We always mention inflammation. It leads to early cellular death. So inflammation, viral and fungal growth, which is being studied in the treatment of prevention of cancer. So lactoferrin, keep that in mind. And we're going to move on. Let's come out of the slides, and we're going to move on to a little more discussion on the heme iron. Then we're going to go into something else. So we have now the animal tissues, heme iron, primarily found in two different forms. So hemoglobin, which uptakes the oxygen into the bloodstream, and myoglobulin, which just takes it from the tissue and puts it into the muscle tissue. So structural hemoglobin, it's necessary. So why does this matter? It supplies oxygen for cellular energy production, ATP, supports immune cells which require oxygen, function effectively. By the way, we're going to give you some tips. One is eat meat. But if you don't want to, that's up to you. We're not here to actually dictate to you. We're just telling you the science behind the meat. So it's just important. So when we talk about myoglobulin, found in muscles, central purpose, store and release oxygen in muscles, but they can't get it without the heme iron in the blood. So contributes to red cell color too. It needs hemoglobin, though, to transfer the oxygen from the lungs and into the bloodstream for the myoglobulin to get the oxygen into the muscles. Heme iron is that meat exists in these two forms, carries the oxygen, most important. And there's I have a whole list of research studies done on the Journal of Experimental Biology and Journal of medical journals as well. So this is not just something that I want to tell you. These are things that I've researched. I was hoping I could find the hemoglobin iron, and other things that does not exist in other things on Earth. So the heme iron it directly supports oxygen delivery, energy metabolism, as well as immune cell activity. Increasing your immunity. Remember, this is what this show is all about, increasing your immunity. It's really important so you understand that. Next components, we're just going to rip right through this. Dairy components, immunomodulation. Now, dairy is often debated, but let's look at its biological role. Milk contains lactoferrin, immunoglobulins, beneficial activity, synergistic effect of lactose in the human immune system. Sugar found, it supports your immune system in a synergistic way. You want to raise your immunity, dairy is where you will find it. So just keep it in mind. We don't want to pass these things up. So feeding the immune system is not about trends, it's about giving the body what it's designed. But most people miss the second piece, that you can feed the body perfectly and still have a weak immune system. Keep that in mind. Leading to immune dysregulation, increased susceptibility to chronic disease. So you got to be careful. This includes lab-grown cultured meat, does not have heme iron as far as hemoglobin. So it does not keep your immune system in check. Immune system reset. what strengthens you, and what silently harms you. So how the body restores immunity from within. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. Let's talk about restoring the body. Okay. If feeding builds the system, restoring is what strengthens it. By the way, Nurse Peggy was mentioning on the break, there about breastfeeding and things of that nature. It helps support the immunity of the infant, definitely. And especially colostrum, you get that in the beginning of the, just after birth. These things are important, and hopefully things work out where your child can actually receive that from you. So there are some colostrum supplements out there that I do know that goat milk is the easiest digested outside the human milk. But I don't know. Do you know of any others? Any suggestions there, Peggy?
I know one of my children was extremely allergic, and his father had been raised on goat milk because of his allergies. So we started there, and then we went to soy milk, and which of course has some manufactured supplements added to it. We actually ended up making from scratch a meat formula, and I had to add
Wow.
vitamins. This kid was really allergic to everything. It stunk, but that's the way to meet his nutritional need. And it was a meat formula, so it probably addressed your heme iron issues for sure.
Right.
But this is complicated, and there is no one size that's going to fit all. And I think maybe in a subsequent show we should have something that step by step how practical and financially feasible way people could make this part of their life. Because if it's too complicated, we know people won't do it, no matter how healthy it is.
Thank you. Wonderful input there. Thank you very much. By the way, Peggy has a show, Holistic Nurse with the Holistic Nurse with Peggy Smith, right?
Yes.
And that's on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern?
1 p.m. Eastern. Yes.
She's got a dynamic show waiting for her this Saturday. I can't wait for that. That's going to be wonderful. So let's talk about now restoring your immunity. Let's look at sleep. Immune reconstruction, because that's what happens when you sleep. Sleep is not passive. It's one of the most active healing states in the body. According to Bezdovsky, sleep regulates the cytokine production and immune cell activity. And Irwin, another research study in 2015, found that sleep deprivation is associated with increased inflammation and reduced immune defense. We go through this all the time, inflammation. So keep that in mind. So during sleep, you got cytokines are regulated, cells repair damage, hormones rebalance. Without sufficient sleep, the immune system becomes slower, less coordinated. And that's not what we want. And more inflammation happens. Sleep is not rest. It's immune reconstruction. Let's look at slides number 12 to 14 here. So here we have the immune system. Lactoferrin, no, sorry, slide 12, immune sleep. This is really interesting. So you have the wake, the REM, the stage 1, the stage 2. So you have natural killer. Your immune system actually decreases as you're awake because you are stressing. You're moving around. You're creating force. You're getting things done. So when you go to sleep, your immune system, the T cells and the B cells, they actually increase if you can get those really sound sleep patterns working for you. So let's look at the next slide. So the choroid plexus helps regulate the brain's internal environment during sleep by producing the circulating cerebral spinal fluids during the deep rest. So it increases that deep sleep movement of the cerebral spinal fluid supports the glymphatic system, which clears the metabolic byproducts and stress-related molecules from your brain. So there's a response. It helps shift the body into restorative state, which is where cortisol levels naturally decline. In essence, sleep reduces cortisol through hormonal regulation, and the choroid plexus supports that. It supports this process by maintaining clean, balanced environment that promotes recovery. Next slide, please. When you're awake, the choroid plexus shrinks. Do you see that in the diagram there? Awake, and how tiny that one area is, and then it actually is larger. It makes it nearly impossible for your brain to recover while being awake. So it opens up while you're asleep. It's like taking out the garbage. Let's look at the next slide, please. So here we have inflammatory markers. If you notice on the slide, you have insomnia versus immune system built up. That is, so you have inflammation on the insomnia side. You have this wonderful dysregulation of inflammatory markers. So it's a dysregulation of inflammatory markers if your immune system's built, and that's getting enough sleep. You need to get enough sleep. Last slide, please. So relaxation therapy versus meditation reduces cortisol levels. Here's a study that we were looking at before. Cortisol levels before and after meditation, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. See what's happening? Relaxation therapy. You can do more and more, and the cortisol levels in meditation and everything goes down. So excellent, right? And here the meditation actually works better than relaxation therapy. So the blue is the relaxation therapy. So meditation, your cortisol levels go down further and further. It's the cleansing, the taking the garbage out in your brain. We really need that. Okay, let's go back to the program now. I just thought I wanted to show you that. So movement, another factor, another thing you have to do. Movement, moderate movement supports circulation of immune cells and lymphatic flow, which is critical for immune surveillance. Now, this is, of course, while you're awake. It's built to defend the missing pieces of true immunity, low impact movement, circulation of defense. Now let's talk about movement, not extreme exercise, but consistent low impact activity. Walking, stretching, gentle movement. I think of yoga. What do you think of when I say that?
It's something that's easy to access in the older ages for sure. For even people in facilities, they've been pushing yoga, chair yoga, and
Right, even in
I
wheelchairs, right?
observed a chair yoga in a facility one time, and I saw the people before they came to the class, and as the class went on, they were a little skeptical in the beginning. You could really see a difference. They were brighter, they were more mobile, they could like propel their own wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Um, and plus there was a psychological benefit of knowing that you're not freezing, to total non-movement the rest of your life. I mean, you feel good when you move. That's why some school systems are talking about having recess all the way through junior high school, even because you need that break from sitting in the chair all day and running your mind and not getting that movement. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, the movement's important because the lymphatic system, your lymph nodes and everything connecting them, it has no pump,
so,
so they get
and
stagnant.
all of these things that are important, though, too, again, besides movement, hydration is a key part of it. And especially as you get older, we're reluctant to drink as much water as we need because I've got mine over here too.
I'm
Uh,
listening, Peggy.
because when you're older, it's a little inconvenient sometimes to get to the restroom, but get more brain fog and just more, inflammation and everything. If going to the
Yeah,
bathroom has a purpose other than annoying you when you're older. You need to get rid of those waste products so you have less brain fog and less pain uh,
right, right.
but the human body is amazing, and having done night shift for so many years in hospitals, same thing with the first responders and all, we're forced to that. We never understood sometimes why between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. It didn't matter how much sleep we had before we came in, we were like just dead. It was like hitting a wall when you're a runner. And it's because your
Hmm.
cardiac output in that 24-hour cycle is lowest between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. That's just a basic law of nature,
Yeah,
apparently. Um, so
yep.
we just sort of
One
learned to
one thing I'm
pace
going to add to
ourselves
that,
at the heavy. Yeah, okay, go right ahead.
right? I'm so sorry. Anyways, you were mentioning, laying there and everything. Our brain recovers in sleep, but the body slows down and the immune system, the lymph nodes slow down. That's why when you wake up sometimes in the morning, you have achy joints or you're sluggish, and it's that immune system. Actually, the waste is still like accumulated. So you need that movement to get rid of that waste and increase the immune response and decrease inflammation. You ever walk around and after an hour or two, you're like, oh yeah, I feel fine. But when you woke up, you were like, oh gosh, achy legs, achy arms, something.
Well, I've noticed
So
too, like sometimes I'll wake up, my hands are really swollen, and I'm thinking, I wonder what's going on. And then I happen to notice a half hour after I've been to the restroom, oh my gosh, my hands are normal. So I guess during night I was accumulating the toxins and they disappeared when I flushed the toilet. Uh,
right.
we really are a miracle, the universe of our creator, because it's so complicated and yet so obvious if we just pay attention. And I think that's where a lot of us miss the important points in life. We're not paying attention.
Right. And talk about paying attention. The nervous system is really important. It's one of the most overlooked drivers of immunity. Stress, has reacts over time. This contributes to systemic inflammation and disease and increases cortisol. So more necessary to have the proper sleep and that type of thing, which is fantastic. So what do we do about it? When the nervous system shifts into a calm state, the body begins to repair, regulate, and defend. Practices like meditation, prayer, stillness, breath work. You can look at a candle flame though and still, consider that. So these aren't luxuries in life. You need to keep moving when you're awake, and you need to get deep sleep when it's time for you to sleep. That's taking out the garbage in your brain and then working out the garbage in your body as you move around. So now we fed the body and we began to restore it, but there's one more layer because even a well fed, well rested body can still be overwhelmed. So when we return, we're going to talk about the hidden forces that silently weaken your immune system every day and how to protect against them. The immunity blueprint, the science behind resilience. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom. purpose, passion, power, and peace, all quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back to Medical Intuitive Insights. You're here with me, Dr. Gloria Warren, and Nurse Peggy Smith. So let's talk a little about protecting our immunity system. And here's the truth that many people don't want to hear. You cannot out-nutrition a toxic environment. The toxic particles may trigger oxidative stress and immune disruption. That's from a research study, too. Peggy, you were mentioning about sleep. We're going to just backtrack real fast. You mentioned something during the break I thought was very important. Go right
Yeah,
ahead.
a lot of people are not aware that you can't make up sleep. We all have periods in our life, whether it's emergencies or certain events we're participating in, or maybe a deadline for work you have to get through. And you think, well, I'll get my sleep after it's over, and you can't make up the sleep that you miss. I mean, you certainly will get your sleep, but it's not going to be a substitute for going 2 or 3 days without sleep. That's
Yeah.
important. It's all about balance, and I've seen a lot of physical bodies just shut down without warning and very inconveniently to
Mhm.
somebody's routine just because they weren't listening to the signs and pacing themselves. And so we talk about
Uh,
balance.
yeah, it's not like the bear either that can sleep like 4 months out of the year and wake up like, well, he really gets a long time. I wonder what happens to the bear's brain if they don't get a lot of sleep in the winter. Because this last winter it was February and I had a bear print by my back door. So and that was a big bear. He should have been hibernating, but we had such warm weather. I don't know. I
The,
wonder what that
the,
does.
global warming has confused a lot of the animals. They don't know when to migrate south, the birds, and they start, and I see them turning around sometimes. Last summer I saw that, like ready to go for fall. I said, oh, look, they're going early. And then, nope, they turned around and they just hung around for another couple of weeks. It was crazy.
Yeah,
But we can learn a lot by watching our counterparts in nature.
yeah. So we're gonna circle back to the toxic particles that trigger oxidative stress and immune disruption. So the toxic load isn't something important to know about. Every day the body's exposed to food additives. You may try to avoid, and every now and then you'll say, what the heck, just eat it. And so there is a certain amount of toxic load in everybody. There's chemical residues in everyone too. You may not know some of those organic foods that may have chemicals on it that they don't mention, or the microplastics. We have a show on that. Look at that. I think that's very important. Microplastics detected in the human body, blood and tissue, and placenta. That's a research study, Leslie and company. 2022, they did that study. Why does this matter? Because microplastics in the bloodstreams has been proven to lower your immunity. Direct correlation, actually. Same with heavy metals, which you've probably heard that one before. I'm sure we all have. So these create a constant burden, forcing the immune system to stay active. These particles may trigger oxidative stress and immune disruption, according to Wright, Kelly, and Galloway, 2017 and 2015. So your immune system becomes exhausted, just like you do when you expend all your energy and you just can't seem to get that energy back. You wake up and you're still tired, cortisol still high. Environmental exposures, pollutions, toxins causes chronic inflammation and disease burden. That's in a research study too. Air and water, what you breathe. This is what I do in Sustainability Management Institute. I am the CEO, and we talk about these things because it's important to know, because it impacts public health and directly impacts immune function. So
Gloria,
contaminant,
speaking
yep.
of public health, one of we have several classes of scientists and immunologists that part of the public health system that actually can monitor the whole society's immune levels by
Mm-hmm.
testing the water regularly in the sewage plants. Um,
Right.
and that's, not something we think about, but they know, months before
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to have a bad flu coming to town or so, something like
Right.
that, because they do see they study the waste products, and
Right.
they know
So,
what the water is and things.
right. As a certified epidemiologist, that's partially about what I do. I look at the test results from the cities and the counties and things like that, and I put it all together. I check with hospitals if there's some type of um, virus being spread. We want to get a count. How fast is it spreading? How many people are hurting from it? And how many people are being exposed to it? How many are actually end up, the fatality rate? It's very important. So, yeah, it's really important, especially environmental factors. The contaminants trigger chronic inflammation, cellular stress, and immune confusion there again. So now we have metabolic stability. We're talking like blood sugar instability. The fastest ways to disrupt immunity is blood sugar. Spikes and crashes create inflammation, disrupt immune signaling, and stress the entire system. The gut-brain immune axis is kind of the front line in a lot of the videos you may see out there. Approximately 70% of immune cells reside in the gut. And it's really important to know that, because you need to keep a healthy gut as well to keep your immune system up. But you also have to get rid of your stress, not all of it, some of it. Maybe you have too much. Keep biome support, uh, things that you can eat, yogurt, real healthy yogurt with added good healthy bacteria. So make sure it's not just gelatin and cornstarch and whatever. So it just, all of this is to maintain overall health. So the gut
Gloria,
micro,
you mentioned the gut. Could you just go real quickly, briefly about leaky gut? Because when people start
oh,
looking
leaky
for the
gut.
information, and that's an important part of what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Leaky gut, you get holes in your intestines, little tiny microscopic holes where fluids that have been in you for a couple days leak back into your main abdomen, and they can be toxic, and you get a lot of fatigue, and not you get brain fog and things like that. So leaky gut is actually caused from the toxins in your food, and also can be caused from things like popcorn and things that make scratches in your intestines. Your intestines are actually very thin. They're almost transparent. They're so thin. So you need to watch all of those chemicals in your food, because the chemicals also kill the healthy bacteria in your gut. And the healthy bacteria, if it totally goes away, you're going to end up with a lot of severe infections and major problems, major health issues. So let's,
There are many issues, obviously, that the medical doctor does need to prescribe traditional antibiotics, but
yeah,
I always recommend that patient at least gets a good probiotic and even a
right,
prebiotic, because
right.
the necessary antibiotics unfortunately do kill a lot of the good bacteria also, not just what they're there for.
Yeah,
So
and that may confuse some people, because they're like, what are healthy bacteria? Well, good healthy yogurt. Prebiotics, that's the one that people are like, what is that? I've had people, well, what
I
are
get that question a lot.
prebiotics? Anything fermented. I eat pickled eggs. I make them myself. My chickens, out back, of course, I make my own pickled eggs. Sauerkraut, anything fermented. Excellent prebiotics. So a couple times a week, you should have some prebiotics that feeds the healthy bacteria that you get in foods like yogurt and such. So, and of course, we also went into microplastics in the immune system. It lowers the immune system overall. And plus microplastics, it's really interesting. It actually can carry the contaminants, the chemical contaminants further. So it complicates their impact, raising concerns about chronic immune activation and disruption of normal cellular function. So what can we do about plastics? It's everywhere. Well, so protection is not fear-based, it's awareness-based. So being aware, you can go to the store. Try not to buy things in plastic. I noticed that the soda from Mexico is actually still in glass bottles. I was like, yay! So sometimes those alternative type stores really may serve your purpose better.
Well,
And
fish is one of our common, most healthy foods that we encourage, but
Mhm.
the world is not as environmentally conscious as they should be. And research is showing very high levels of plastic in these healthy fish that we're eating by the time they get to us. That's not something
Yeah,
we know what is about or how much is there. So, is there any
yeah,
way to take care
yeah.
of that?
Well, this in today's day and age, I don't want to get political, so let's kind of just skim over that a little. And I'll just say I do not eat fish anymore, and there's a reason. Unless
Okay,
I
that
go fishing and I'm fishing in a clean lake, and I check the lake. Lakes are tested, and the DNRs, the Department of Natural Resources, have tests on all the different lakes. Like I'll go up to Wisconsin, every single lake in Wisconsin is tested. So I'll check the testing. I'll see what kind of fish are there. So I know I would see how deep the lake is, see if it's still that deep. Right now, everybody's flooded, but on a regular basis. And I'll also see it'll talk about the health of the lake itself. So I'll go up, catch some fish, bring it back, throw it in the freezer, dress it out, throw it in the freezer. Yes, I do that. I remember ice fishing. Somebody gave me some fish. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to bring them home to my wife. She'll kill me because I wasn't supposed to be ice fishing." I said, "I'll take them." I took them home, started dressing them out, and one became defrosted and started flapping as I was cutting it open. I was like, "Oh no!" But yeah. Anyways, you can throw your fish, just dress them out, throw them in the freezer. You don't have to even scale them before you throw them in there. It's just what I do, but that's my personal choice. Everybody needs to do what they are comfortable with doing. So you want to go out for a fish fry and just eat whatever fish it is. Hey, you know what? It's not like you're eating it every day. You're human. Just because you have these rules does not mean that you can't break them every now and then. I love chocolate mousse, and no matter what anybody says to me about cocoa or anything, I'm still going to have chocolate mousse every now and then. So I just love to, you have to have your vices. So otherwise, we're not human. I don't know. What's your vice, Peggy?
Well, I like ice cream and chocolate too, but I want to point
Right.
out that we're all striving to get healthier, but part of that journey is not to beat ourselves up for things that maybe we didn't have control over younger ages or things that were the choices we make now that might not be the greatest. We can acknowledge,
Mhm.
okay, I can get better at this. I don't have to beat myself up and feel bad and give up trying. I think that's an important thing. We have to be kind to ourselves, and that's good for your immune system too. If your body knows that
Right.
you love it, your immune system will respond in kind.
Yeah, so true. Just so true. So, protection is not fear-based, it's awareness-based. I'm just going to say that again because it is very true. You learn by becoming educated, and then it's up to you what you do with that information. Look at all your ice cream and see all the things. A lot of them don't even have regular dairy. They'll say cultured milk, which means it's lab-made milk. So you may choose to do a more organic ice cream or make it yourself at home. So when we return, we'll bring we'll bring this all together for you and talk about what a true immunity reset looks like in your life today. Immunity blueprint, I call it, the science behind resilience. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Mm.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life.
Welcome back. So let's talk about immunity reset. Let's bring this all together. Immunity reset is built on 3 pillars. So first would be feeding the body, providing nutrients required for immune function. You want to feed it some of those things we talked about in the first section. If you don't want to, that's up to you. It's your choice. But I just bring the science. I educate. What you do with it, it's up to you. But think about feeding the immune system. Okay, number 2, restoring the system, allowing the body to repair and regulate. And that gets the sleep cycles we talked about. Your brain resets, gets rid of all the garbage when you sleep. Okay, but your body during the day needs movement for the lymphatic system to raise your immunity. That needs movement too, because you clear out the lymph nodes when you move. It doesn't have a pump of its own. And pillar 3, protecting the environment, reducing the burden placed on the immune system. It's not just the environment around you, but your body's environment. Reducing that burden on your own immune system. Shop wisely. Go out there, really look at what you're eating. So Furman in 2019 and Hotsmill's legal, some of these names, in 2006, they prove that chronic inflammation is now recognized as the central driver of many diseases. Yeah, I think if you saw some of my videos when I first started a few years ago, my face was puffy and swollen, and I had chronic inflammation. And throughout these few years, my immunity has gotten better, and the inflammation has started coming down. It's wonderful. I took my own advice. So immunity is not built in a moment of illness. It's actually built in daily habits. Your body learns from repetition. What you do daily becomes what your immune system expects. It's built in daily choices. And that's every day. Every choice is a message, and your body is always listening. It's built in daily exposure. Your immune system is not just reacting to threats and internal threats, it's responding to the environment around you as well, every moment, every second of every day. So we have a few tips for everybody here. Gut health. Approximately 70% of immune cells reside in the gut. Microbiomes regulate inflammation, pathogens, nutrient absorption, includes fermented foods, fiber diversity. I didn't mention that earlier. So these are just little tips of reminders. Hydration and water quality. Peggy gets me on it all the time. And here we are again. I am drinking water this time though. Immune reactions occur in fluid environments. Dehydration, reduced detox circulatory efficiency. Dehydration's not good. You need to be hydrated, and consider contaminants like PFASs and microplastics. Water filtration, and do not drink out of plastic containers. They actually put them in stacks in front of gas stations some places. One of my colleagues were taking pictures in the sunlight. Get your sunlight, though. Vitamin D, it regulates immune gene expression, supports antimicrobial peptide production. Peptides, big subject nowadays. I'll have another show. 20 minutes a day in the sunlight, just like the Tibetan monks, when the sun's visible, of course. Stay away from bad air quality, chemical burdens, links to anything that will dysregulate your immunity. Eliminate plastics in your kitchen, environment, metabolic health. Consider that. Your blood sugar instability can yield immune dysfunction. That's one reason why diabetics usually, they don't feel that diabetics will live as long of a life. But if you can stabilize your blood sugar, your immunity will actually balance out a little bit better. So consider that. That's, of course, if everything's optimal that you're eating. Insulin resistance linked to chronic inflammation. It all runs together in the same family. So eat natural and certified organic only while reviewing your other environmental circumstances. If you're not looking at your environment, and let's say you got spray paint coming from your garage all the time, how is organic food going to help you much more than when you're breathing spray paint? Just a thought. Nervous system regulation. Remember, chronic stress equals immune suppression. Acute stress gives you a temporary boost, but it's okay to be sick every now and then. It actually will boost your immunity. Get at least 7.5 hours of sleep per night, and weed out stress in your work. So stay away from food additives, heavy metals, microplastics. Check food levels. So, Peggy, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think although this sounds overwhelming to some people, the first step is really the self-talk, the way you talk to yourself. And if you could tell your brain what you're trying to accomplish here, your brain will start giving you ideas that make you more aware. You'll notice healthier foods on the shelf that you maybe never knew were there
Right.
before.
Supply and demand, too.
So it's a lot of, you are what you eat, but you also are what you think many times, and you have control over what you think. So a lot more than you think you do. And just about loving yourself. And when you love somebody, you want to take good care of them. So if you love yourself, you'll want to take better care of yourself.
Right. So remember, folks, Immunity Reset, it's not a product, it's not a pill, and it's not a quick fix. It's a return. It's a return on your investment in you. To how the body was designed to function, it was designed to defend it, to heal. So immunity is not built in a moment of illness. It's built in daily habits, daily choices, daily exposures, in what we repeat, in what we allow, and what we surround ourselves with. Because the body's always adapting, either towards resilience or toward depletion. There's no in between. It's either you're building towards resilience or depletion. So, and when we understand that, we begin to live differently, more aware, more intentionally, more aligned with how our body was designed. This has been Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm Dr. Gloria Warren. Thank you very much, Nurse Peggy Smith. There, but for the grace of God go I, and in the grace, we are given the chance to heal. So see you next time. Choose wisely.
Everybody have a great week.
This has been Medical Intuitive Insights with host Dr. Gloria Warren. Tune in each week as Gloria shares over 40 years of experience and yearns to provide knowledge derived from intuition and research. Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern.